Madam Clerk.
Good evening. On behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome you to the October 24th, 2023 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231 Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 13, 2023, setting forth the schedule of regular meetings for the year 2023-2024. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, due to COVID-19, this meeting will be in person and virtual stream via Zoom. Public notice and instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on October 13th, 2023, on the City of Passaic website, www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Schwartz,
Present.
Councilman Garcia,
Present.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Present.
and Council President Shea.
Present. Mayor, may we impose on you for the invocation?
Blessed are you, Lord, King of the universe, creator of heaven and earth. We thank you for this day. This governing body may come together to do the business of this city. We ask that you would guide our council members and all those who report or speak today. We focus on that, better serve all the residents of our city and would honor you. We thank you, Lord, for each day that we can move forward, peace and unity. We humbly request this for the rest of the world. We're cognizant of so much that is going on. Do not shake and lose our faith. Rather, trust in you and try to create a world of peace in our own communities each day with how we interact with one another. We thank you always. Place this meeting in your hands. Lord, in this name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight at our October 24th meeting of the City Council. If you do not have an agenda and you're here in the building itself, they are available directly outside the entrance exits of this chamber. If you're at home or somewhere else and you'd like to get a copy of the agenda, you can do so by going to the city's website. You can also receive there all of the information that the council has received from the administration in an effort to better inform the council about the concerns of the city and the needs thereof. Again, that is available to you on the Passaic City website. With the council's permission, our next item on the agenda, Roman numeral 4, is report from our mayor. Mayor Laura?
Thank you, Council President. Allow me to just share some of the ongoing
Mayor,
projects.
may I ask you to hold just a moment, please? There is
I believe I just took care of it. The screen was not unmuted. I just unmuted the screen and turned on the mic.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Ongoing city projects, NJDOT, or New Jersey Department of Transportation Local Aid roadway improvements. We have completed the resurfacing and striping of Pine Street, Gregory Avenue, Garden Street, Columbia Avenue. Our municipal parking deck providing an additional over 300 new parking spaces. The bids will open up on November 21st. The pre-bid meeting will be held on site on October 30th for the new parking deck right across from City Hall. The Market Street Streetscape consultant finalizing design of Market Street that includes new sidewalks, curbs, lighting, and much more will be submitted to the NJDOT, again, New Jersey Department of Transportation, for federal authorization. I want to share with the community that on Friday, October 13th, we had our ribbon cutting ceremonies at School 8 and School 3 with new playgrounds. I know that I had shared that at the previous meeting, but I'm again excited about these new playgrounds that provide additional recreation for our smallest students or our youngest students, as well as they both had the new rubberized surface, which we've been adding throughout the city. Also, I wanted to share that on October 14th, we had our Wilderness Inquiries Canoe Mobile, and we partnered with the Urban Waters. The city of Passaic offered free canoe rides guided by a crew of skilled outdoor educators on the Passaic River. Also, on October 20th, Council President, we had our family pizza night. I'm sorry, I need some tissue. Thank you. We had our family pizza night, which was a huge success. One of our senior citizens who used to own the pizzeria right across the street volunteered to come the night before and teach some of our young people, our seniors, and those who participate in our special needs program, our adult special needs program, how to roll the dough, prepare the dough, and then in the morning everyone came in and they cooked pizzas and had. So it was a wonderful activity. Also, we had our fourth annual fishing day, cops and bobbers, along with hooks and ladders. Our firefighters and our police officers joined with families and children in Third Ward Memorial Park at Hughes Lake in order to go fishing together. The night before, we stocked the lake with brand new fish, and everyone was very excited about that. I wanted to share that on November 3rd, this is extremely important, and I want to make sure to get on the record. On November 3rd, from Tuesday, October 31st through Friday, November 3rd, Section 8 program waiting list will be opening. Again, October 31st through Friday, November 3rd. The Board of Commissioners of Passaic Housing Authority have announced that the opening of the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program waiting list applicants will be accepted online only. Residents must log into their website, www.passaichousing.org. Once again, www.passaichousing.org. Those requiring assistance completing and submitting the application may visit the Passaic Senior Center. Applicants without access to a computer or mobile device can visit the Passaic Public Library or Reed Memorial Library. We will publicize this obviously on our webpage, send information through the schools. Hopefully it can get home through the students. We will have it up on our monitors, but we want to make sure everyone is aware of the date. On Sunday, November 5th, I will be designating the corner of Tulip and Sherman as Silver Star Square. I'm very excited about that program and invite residents to come along with Silver Star Lodge 45 to celebrate this naming of the street for one of our longest serving institutions and groups in the city of Passaic. November 7th, the general election for City Hall offices will be closed because there will be an election, a statewide election where individuals will have opportunities to vote for assembly, for Senate, and for your county commissioners. Presently, we will also be working towards, I believe, Madam Clerk, early voting, and I believe the early voting begins on October 28th. That's what I thought. October 28th through November 5th will be early voting days here at City Hall. The polls will be open here at City Hall, so we encourage all the residents to vote. Though, obviously, during our council meeting, we will never tell you who to vote for, but I must stress, please come out and vote. It's important that we utilize those early dates because that will continue to encourage the county to provide this opportunity, considering that some of our senior citizens can be deterred because of inclement weather. Having days beforehand where they can choose whichever day is most convenient, whether on the weekend or a few days beforehand, in order to vote is of a great benefit. Sometimes individuals face extenuating circumstances that doesn't allow for them specifically to vote on election day. So early voting days are, again, I'll reiterate, of great benefit. I want to thank our clerk, Ms. Weatherly Frias, and obviously the county for facilitating this opportunity for all of our residents. But again, if we don't use it, we could potentially lose it. So I would ask that everyone please come and vote early. I would encourage everyone to vote early. I would encourage you, Council President Gary Scheer, to vote early, because if Council President Gary Scheer votes early, it would set a great example. So I would hope that you would come out, Councilman Scheer, Council President Scheer. I would never tell our assemblyman to vote early, but I would tell Council President Scheer if he could please come out and vote early. I believe that, Friday, November 10th, Veterans Day will be observed in City Hall offices. Our offices will be closed on Friday. Veterans Day falls on Saturday, which is November 11th, but we will be observing it on Friday and closing our offices. Our dog park The water fountain has been added. That is the good news. The water fountain has been closed for the winter. That is the bad news. So it was added one day, and then the next day it was closed in order to preserve the pipes. I went and tested it out on that day. It's exciting, but I am glad to share that news for pet owners. We also added the additional section for senior citizens, those with disabilities, and those who have therapy dogs. Sometimes when you go into a dog park, it can be quite intimidating when individuals come in with a large pet, or maybe there's many dogs. And I think we're one of the only cities to have a dog park where you have the big dog park section, the small dog park section, and then a secluded or a set aside section for those who may have therapy dogs, who may be dealing with disabilities, or may be concerned for other reasons where they don't want to be around many different dogs. So we're very excited about those. And then lastly, this just came to mind and I wanted to share with the community. The chief of police is here, and I'm excited that I was able to send 8 police officers to the academy. However, to inform the public, as of right now, the DOJ grant, the Department of Justice grant that assists us in being able to send more officers, has not been released. We put in our application in May. That was in May, Mr. Administrator. Now, by this time last year and previous years, we would have already received the grant. Unfortunately, the delay, and this is a federal grant, resulted in not sending the number of police officers that I would have wanted to. As mayor, it is my responsibility, and obviously in the office, there is the executive authority to send a number of police officers. But I've made a commitment to the city of Passaic to be responsible with our fiscal management as well as with day-to-day governing. To date, I have never had to lay off any of our police officers or firefighters, and I have no intention to do so, and I believe my colleagues would not wish to do so. Often promises can be made, but from my perspective and the direction of my administration, it is to responsibly manage our government, our budget, and to ensure that we can enhance the quality of life for our residents in terms of safety and security and all other services. Because the grant was not released again, I did not send the number that I would have wanted to, but I was adamant that I did want to send a class. So I chose to send 8 officers to ensure that we can continue to add to our police department. But the reason why I bring this up, council members, is to highlight and to extend my gratitude to the responsible approach that each of you take in government. Because when I consider the delay in this grant, and oftentimes here in local government, we may feel disconnected from what goes on in Washington. But all of those talks of a potential government shutdown resulted in them not moving forward in much needed services, programs, and releasing funding and grants. And sometimes residents ask, well, what does that have to do with me? If there are issues between the politicians in Washington. Well, here's what happens. We put in our DOJ grant application in May. We are now approaching November, and it hasn't been released. There are municipalities like ours all around the state that are waiting for funding that helps them to make decisions that will have direct impact on the budget. We determined our budget last year for this year. So what occurs is I am limited in terms of a responsible approach of hires, of how we will add to services in our community and programs. And they are dependent on grants, even if they pay a portion or for a certain period. When those grants are not released, yeah, I can irresponsibly say, so what? I'll just move forward. And then if 4 years from now we have to lay people off, or if it has such an impact on the budget that the council members are hearing it from the residents, so what? That's never been my approach in the past. My goal is to hire people so they can have 25-year careers, 30-year careers. I'm not trying to do politics with people's jobs or their careers. I'm not trying to impress anyone and say, hey, I'll take care of it no matter the numbers. But the reason why I share it with the community watching is this. That's what happens when your elected representatives can't get along. When elected representatives are sitting there fighting and not worrying about the work of the people, then government stalls. And that impacts every level of government. So I would request of the residents that are watching, write your congressional representatives and tell them we need the pressure put on these important agencies and departments to release these grants so that our governments can continue to do the work that we have committed to do, the work that benefits and serves the people of our cities every single day. So thank you, Council President. Thank you, members of the City Council. If there are any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You raised the issue of the police, forgive me. In terms of overall, how is the city doing in terms of policing?
So I wanna take this time to highlight our chief, obviously our administrators and our police officers every single day. Now I'm careful because the moment you share stats, you say things are going well. That's the day that something may not. But I want to share that the city of Passaic has seen a drastic um, decline in violent incidents, a very visible and noticeable presence of our police officers, both walking and driving around the city. We continue with initiatives. Our substation in our downtown area on Passaic Street is ready for us to move in. We're right now coordinating logistically how we will move that forward, as well as the potential substation that's going to be built on Wall Street, which we're very excited about. So, in terms of our policing, I want to commend our police officers. Obviously, we're still keeping an eye on some of the issues that came about after the pandemic, petty crimes, sometimes car thefts. We remind our residents to lock their cars. We have found with an increase of individuals that found themselves without a home and in the streets, with the rise in those that unfortunately uh, are dealing with the challenge of the opiate crisis. We have seen more and more individuals that are in the streets, and that has been a trend throughout the state of New Jersey. We have done Facebook Lives to inform people of catalytic converter rings that were going around the entire state, hitting from one city, jumping to another city. But our police chief and myself remain in communication with county law enforcement, state law enforcement, as well as our counterparts in other municipalities to compare and to give a heads up to our communities. But again, I have to commend the hard work of our remarkable and amazing police department. Seeing this extremely drastic decline in violent crime and incidents in our city has been extremely encouraging. However, we are not patting ourselves on the back. It is simply to highlight their work and to remind ourselves to remain vigilant. That it is the
Jews
job
did
of
9/11.
government.
Israel
Here's
did
some baby
9/11.
penis.
Shut up, nigger.
You're a bald nigger.
All right, so when are we going to put these Jews in these
Gentlemen, when you are finished,
fuck Jews?
Go
Mayor,
back
you're
to
very
Africa.
ugly and fat. Why?
Fuck you,
Israel
nigger.
murdered 34 Americans.
Nigger.
okay. So there were a number of false names that I chose not to read on the screen. As you can see, if you would have read the names, they were intended to, I guess, elicit a response. So I chose not to read their names, but I think we have them unmuted or muted. Okay. Back to what I was saying. Besides the fact that some have asked, when will the city of Passaic have interesting council? Council President, as I was sharing, that drastic decline is a direct result of the hard work of our police department. But again, it is not for us to pat ourselves on the back. There's a lot more work to be done.
Very
We
good, sir.
continue to provide additional recreation opportunities for our youth, believing that it is not enough to simply tell our children to stay off the wrong path, but rather to offer them an opportunity to be on the right path through education, through recreation, through job training. We understand that there have been violent incidents. We do not deny that there have been violent incidents. Decline is great, but we would wish, like every municipality, to have zero. That is not the case. We continue to strategically direct our law enforcement to address issues and become more proactive. We have enhanced our surveillance capabilities and capacity by adding cameras to our entrances and exits in our city. Route 21 being one, Route 3 Obviously, these read license plates and tell you as soon as someone comes in what their license plates are and send information directly to our police department. We have added cameras that people cannot see for the purpose of obviously ensuring that we have information, and we do not share those locations because it would defeat the purposes of investigations. But we continue to work closely with our prosecutors and our state law enforcement to provide to a certain extent the very best security that we possibly can for our residents as long as we continue to work together. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mayor. Questions from the council? Seeing none, if we could proceed. Mayor, thank you again. If we could proceed to our item number 5 on our agenda, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. If you would like, if you're in chambers, we invite you to step up to the podium when appropriate, and we ask you to please identify yourself by sharing with us your name. If you are not in chambers, let me share with you how you can call the council right now and communicate your concerns, your ideas, your thoughts in terms of the city. That number to dial in, please, is 929-436-2866. That's 929-436-2866. Meeting ID number 898-9261-2341. That's 898-9261-2341. And please press *9 to show that you would like to speak. Let me give you those numbers once again, ladies and gentlemen. Please call in at 929-436-2866. Enter meeting ID number 898-9261-2341, and please press *9. Is there anyone who would like to address the council at this time, please? I'm sorry, Mayor, I see your light is on, please.
Thank you. Just for a minute, I would ask if people would indulge me. Council President, while I was giving my report, my screen was not visible. I did not hear. I was informed that the comments that were made in the screen had come up with certain comments, as well as what was said on the mic while I was speaking. I didn't hear it. Was apparently an extremely derogatory term, a discriminatory term, a hateful term in some of the images that placed on the screen. I don't know if you guys got to see them, were extremely anti-Semitic images. There were anti-Semitic images, and there were very disrespectful terms that were being posted up, and they were saying while I was speaking. The reason why I mentioned it to the public, because obviously, had I been aware immediately, we would have addressed it. I think all of us would have addressed it. I want to thank our IT, and I want to inform those that are watching publicly that we will not tolerate any words of disrespect or anything that would in any way depict or convey messages of hate, of intolerance, of discrimination, of racism, of going against people's faiths, practices, beliefs, or any of these things. Our council president at every meeting begins our meetings by making a statement of what the expectations are in terms of the civility and the approach of our meetings. But Council President, the reason why I asked to pause is because perhaps some of my colleagues were not aware of what was being put on the screen or did not hear, but I wanted to make sure that we address it immediately to not give any impression to those who were listening that in any way we would tolerate this or are complicit. We reject and denounce all of these comments, images, or any of those things that were shared. And on behalf of my administration, to those who may have seen those images, I would hope that our IT were able to catch it quick enough. And those who heard the terms while the report was being made, on behalf of my city, I'm sorry? they did it again. And while they continue, we're going to try to stay on it. But on behalf of obviously our city, for any of the young people that are watching or any of the residents, our sincerest apologies that you were exposed to such vitriol, hate, ignorance, and discrimination. And if at all, Council President, if necessary, if IT cannot get it under control, I know that we meet the requirement of a public meeting since we're in person, but we must stop these images from being shown. So please inform the Council President if we cannot stop these images from popping up. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. To our IT department, can we ask?
Obviously, with your direction, any images that would be deemed obviously as inappropriate, they are able to remove the individual. We just want you to be aware that right now we do not know what's occurring, whether it's individuals who are hacking or just simply coming in. So we have our attorney here to guide us. Just want to ensure that we can be appropriate, but we are aware that there are individuals attempting to put up graphic images or make outrageous statements during this meeting that would not be tolerated in any government meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Love, your light is on, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for that update. And the mayor touched on it, and Council President, through the chair, I would like to direct it at the attorney. We meet the requirements by being in a public meeting. So do we even have to be on Facebook? Is that any requirement, statutory?
There is no legal requirement to be broadcasting.
Okay. And the reason why I said that, Council President, and I know in your wisdom you'll do the right thing, but if it continues, why do we even have to subject ourselves and our citizens to that? So that's just something I wanted to put on the record, that if it continues, then we just shut it down.
Very good, sir. I appreciate your advisements. Yes, sir. Your name, please.
John Willis. Just going from a book real quick on the people that called in and said F Jews and niggers and all this.
Mr. Willis, I'm going to stop you right
Excuse me.
there. I'm going to stop you right there.
Excuse me.
I heard a word.
Yes, I'm making a statement, sir.
No, sir. I will not allow such a statement. Please sit down. You've exhausted your time. You used a word which is abhorrent.
Excuse me, but
You
I
used
apologize, but I was making
No,
a
sir.
statement
Mr.
from
Willis,
a
I will,
book.
no, I'm sorry. After just having witnessed what we witnessed, I do not know. The N-word is not appropriate. It is not to be spoken in these chambers, certainly. Please take your seat, Mr.
I
Willis. I'm
apologize.
terribly sorry. I am terribly
I
sorry.
prepared the speech to write, and that threw me off. I was just trying to quote from a book how we need to have thick skin right now and not listen to that rhetoric. See how divisive it is? In the book of Dick Gregory, he made a book called N-I-G-G-R. You heard? Excuse me,
I know
you
the
don't want to
book.
hear it. Yes, and I wanted to say something from the book. He said, when people call you that word, doesn't mean you are one. If people call me a billionaire,
Mr. Willis, I'm going to allow you to go on, but you understand you're walking on very thin ice here.
yes, I just wanted to make a quote from the book.
No, I don't. There are any number of books that you can quote that would be inappropriate here. Please start your time.
All right, thank you. I apologize. Now, moving forward. Ask about phase 2 renovations about Braggs Park. And I'm asking about phase 2 renovations about Braggs Park because now the tables are collapsing. Maybe we can get some durable tables at Braggs Park. They're collapsing due to the corrosion and they're made out of light iron. Perhaps we can get some tables around like with chess and checkers around like y'all have around the municipal complex. Something more durable. And also, I would like to ask about how I come to every council meeting and ask about the electricity at Braggs Park, and I don't get no answers for that. What's the status on that? I've been patient, and I want to know what's the status. Hold on, let me get my breath, because we started off on the wrong note. And what's the status? I have a concept or theory in the great words of, David Icke. In the great words of David Icke. Problem, reaction, solution. If it's not broke, then don't fix it. Now, I say that because the electricity was no problem. Now, first, we create a problem. Now we see how to react. And already I have the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Are we aware of that? And second, I would like to talk about my employment status. I went to your, sorry, sir, Miss Laura, your wife spoke to her, came back to her on the 20th, was promised some job opportunity. That didn't work out. She said she was going to go to a meeting on Sunday, trying to run the campaign trails for y'all, trying to get an honest day work, an honest day living, but that seemed hard. So back to that, I told y'all how hard it was to find a job in my community. I've been reduced down to a beggar. Now I take honor and been forced to become a petty thief. And take honor and been forced to become a petty thief. To make ends meet by stealing meat and poultry. Ironically, to make ends meet by stealing meat and poultry from major corporations, risking my reputation and freedom, weighing my risk and benefit factor because I have no money, held out signs, and it's hard. And I've seen corporations throw out food in front of my face and say, I can't give it to you because we can get sued. And I'm out there hungry, watching them throw out tons of meals. So now I'm forced to be a petty thief because I have no job, been waving up signs, will work for food, will work for food. That don't work out all the time. So I'm forced to steal from corporations.
1 minute, Mr.
To make ends meet, I have to steal meat. Once again, to make ends meet, I have to steal meat. Ironically. I'll close on that. Let me just make sure. Okay, the cops came. I ain't gonna even talk about that. Oh yeah, well I could talk about that for 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm back homeless. So I tried to put up a tent Thursday and Friday at Braggs Park. Cops came by, said we gotta clear up. I just want to know the status about putting up tents. Do you need to put up a tent in a public park? What's the status about that as well? Why can't I put up a tent in a park? I'm homeless. It's like, major corporations own everything, can't sleep in front of their stores or property because everywhere you go is trespassing. So what do the city own? Where can I sleep? Like, these are some of the questions. Please answer.
Your time is up, sir. I am aware that there are food pantries. I'm aware that there are organizations which provide beds for the homeless on a short-term basis. I'm told COMAC in Patterson, that's CUMAC in Patterson, makes available.
I'm sorry, say that again.
COMAC, CUMAC in Patterson, offers beds for the homeless, as well as food, I'm told. Respectfully, you might wish to get in touch with them, Mr. Willis.
Cool. Okay.
With COMAC.
And about my job in a status about they saying there was vetting me.
You'll forgive me, Mr. Willis, your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
But you might want to check with COMAC. Anyone else like to address the council? Madam Clerk, do we have anyone?
Sir, my question. Some of them get answered.
So you asked about the status of Bragg Park. Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Fernandez? I was directed to Mr. Fernandez, but Mayor, if you know the issue,
Of what?
status of right now of Bragg Park.
Tables is falling down now as well.
Oh, okay. Council President, through the Council President and the City Council, to the gentleman at the podium, the tables were added. They were not a part of the park. They were initially added with the music ballards as an amenity, passive recreation for the families there. The initial plan, actually, and I think Mr. Willis makes a great point, was to add the stone tables with the checkers and the chess. That was the intention of it. But those are permanent structures. So since there's going to be work being done, it would not be prudent to add them now, only to tear them down. We will look at the stability or the structure of the tables and see if DPW can replace the tables. So we'll have that assessed this week. Mark Watkins is here with us, Superintendent of DPW. Mr. Watkins, if you can please have those tables assessed, and if there are any that are obviously corroded or falling apart, if we can have those replaced. Is there another question?
Just as clarification, we're redoing that park, Mayor, yes?
We are redoing the park.
So it would be only understood that while we're doing it, we've got to, I don't know, close it off, but certainly the amenities that were there before, however scant they might be, can't be there now, and we can't do our job.
Well, if it's specific to the question of electricity, there is electricity on the light poles, Council President. What happened initially was the electricity was added for the events, the music ballards and the holiday events, in order to plug in the lights. It was not actually something that the city was aware that the electricity was being utilized every single day. That was supposed to be turned off. We actually want to thank the individuals that came to the council to inform us that the electricity was being used by different individuals, because we sent it out to be inspected, and we have a responsibility to turn them off. This is a practice that goes on in every park throughout the year. After the season, when the electricity is used, like Third Ward Memorial Park, the big tree in front of the boathouse, the lights go on, electricity is added. Once the season is over and we are not going to have holiday events, all of those are supposed to be turned off. So we want to thank those that brought it to our attention. To be honest, I think had no one come, we wouldn't have known, but it was brought to our attention and we responded, and we want to thank the residents to let us know, because they're supposed to be turned off.
Thank you so much. Mr. Willis, that's all we got. And is there anyone on the screen, Weatherly, who would like to speak? Is there anyone else in the
Sir, I
office
just
who
want
would
to
like to speak?
I won't stop until I get a job.
Mr. Willis, I appreciate you being here this evening. If there's no one else who would like to speak before the council, is there a motion to close?
We have some.
We have some.
Joe Consenti, 170 Broadway. Irving Place, cars are parked on the sidewalk illegally. Something needs to be done, because this is an ongoing issue. Some days you got 5 cars, some days you got 10 cars. You got homeowners now parking on the sidewalk. I mean, I don't know what could be done with this. My second question is, are roosters allowed as pets in the city of Passaic?
Are what, sir?
Roosters, are they allowed as pets in the city of Passaic? Those are my 2 questions I have.
Chief Guzman, would you be aware, are roosters allowed as pets?
Council President, let me jump in because I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar. Hold on, Chief.
Go out on a wing, did you say?
I'm very familiar with this since it came up with our health department. It depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation.
Yes, there are certain animals that are considered service animals and therapy animals. There are individuals that have taken, obviously municipalities took court for different animals, whether goats, rabbits, roosters. There are certain conditions, certain circumstances, and even extenuating circumstances where the court may allow. However, it is case by case. In general, though, and all animals that are going to be considered pets must be registered through our clerk's office. If one has questions, they should really register through our clerk's office, and any questions will obviously be directed to the health department and our lawyers, our attorneys in the legal department. But there are occasions, but in general, it is not common practice before our chief announces that someone's rooster is going to go to jail.
Okay. The gentleman asked about Marine Place, did you say?
Irving.
Irving Place, excuse me. And that is that cars are parked everywhere. Chief, pull it down, please. Pull it down, please. And let's keep it off. Can we be heard by people outside of this chamber at this point?
Yes, it's still recording.
Renee, can we do audio without video? Yeah. Okay, if we can please do audio without video, if that would be okay with the council president and the city council.
Absolutely.
That way everyone can still listen to the meeting. However, no more images to be shared for all.
For the benefit of people who are not in chambers and listening to the meeting, we apologize. But we just had another instance of some images put on the screens, which are unacceptable by any civilized society and certainly not a part of our life here in the city of Passaic. You asked about Irving Place and cars. Chief, can you give us some idea? If you're aware, and if not, perhaps you can, at our next meeting, you can share with us your thoughts.
Chief Kuzma, question was directed.
Irving. Yeah. It's getting really bad. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Good, thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Seeing no hands, is there a motion to end public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second to close. Roll call?
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We are up to Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, ordinance for second and final reading. A hearing is required. Number 1, proposed ordinance 2414-23, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for block 2172.01, lots 13, 14, 15, and 16, corresponding to 386-394 Monroe Street in the city of Passaic, introduced at the September 19, 2023 City Council meeting. If I may advise my colleagues on the council, the administration has requested to set the second and final reading for November the 9th. That being the case, it is standard for us, for those people who have come specifically for this item, that with the council's permission, if we do not hear the item, that we nonetheless hear anyone who would like to address it, who are with us tonight. With the council's permission, is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the council will be deliberating proposed ordinance 2414-23 with the understanding that the administration has requested that we postpone this motion until November the 9th. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only? Seeing no hands, is there a motion, please, to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Is there a motion, please, to move proposed ordinance 2414-23 for second and final reading at our meeting of November the 9th?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Thank you. Roll call?
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Number 2, please, proposed ordinance 2415-23. An ordinance approving an amendment to the City of Passaic Scattered Site Redevelopment Plan for property designated as Block 3319, Lot 1, Block 3318A, Lots 7 and 20, and Block 3318C, Lots 9 and 20, on the official tax map of the City of Passaic and located at 217 Brook Avenue in Passaic, New Jersey, introduced at the September 19, 2023 City Council meeting. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Move.
Second. Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Yes. Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, the council looks forward to your consideration of proposed ordinance 2415-23. Is there anyone who would like to approach the council and speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Motion and second, roll
Second.
call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Yes. Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Under communication, please, Roman numeral 7, number 3. Oh, we closed public hearing, we didn't vote on it. I apologize to my colleagues. Is there a motion to accept?
So
Motion
moved.
by Councilman Love, second by Councilman Schwartz. Roll
Councilman
call,
Monk?
please.
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Yes. Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're on communications, number 3 through 6. Are there any questions, please, on 3 through 6? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 3 through 6?
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Yes. Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. All matters listed here under considered to be in routine in nature. Items 7 through 16. Are there any questions, please, on 7 through 16? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept items 7 through 16?
So moved, Council President.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Yes. Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to resolutions, Roman numeral 8 on our agenda, number 17. A resolution authorizing closed executive session of the City Council of Passaic. Do we need a closed session tonight, sir?
Yes. Discuss potential litigation.
Let's discuss potential. Very good, sir. Mr. Fernandez?
Yeah, on the same matter.
Mayor?
Same matter.
Very good. Members of the council. Okay, with the council's permission, we've just passed the resolution authorizing closed executive session. With the council's permission, I'd like to move this item to the end of the meeting. Although the council will necessarily come back after it makes a decision or meets simply. But right now, if we can put 17 in advance, and if I can impose on the council to look at all items 18 through 39 inclusive. Are there any questions, please? Councilman Monk.
Thank you, Council President. Item 22, resolution awarding contract for American Rescue Act Plan Funding Consultant awarded to NW Financial of Hoboken, not to exceed $5,000 per month. Typically, the contracts usually are per year, right? Not to exceed per year. This is done per month. Does that limit this contractor? 1 month might be a heavy month, in terms of the workload, but they can't exceed. They have to stop. Comes week 3, we hit our $5,000, so they shut the lights and come back 2 weeks later, and the first of the next month, so they can meet the next threshold of $5,000 per month.
So in the case that would happen, yes. Now I can tell you this has been going on. It's the same contract. It's the same vendor since the American Rescue Plan came, and I don't think they haven't even been close to the 5,000 per month.
Okay.
But because the American Rescue Act funding, depending on, it's more project based, it's better monthly because there may be a month we do several projects and then there's a month where nothing happens.
Mhm.
So they won't get, so that's why we did it monthly versus annual.
Got it. Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on items 18? I'm sorry, members. On items 18 through 39. Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to 18 through, to accept 18 through 39? Seeing none, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to ordinances for introduction and first reading. Roman numeral 9 on our agenda, number 40. Proposed ordinance amending Chapter 39 Police Department, Article 6, Off-Duty Police Services, Section 16, Payment for Off-Duty Police Services, and Section 7, Administrative Services and Fees of the City of Passaic Code. Is there a motion, please, to accept for set down and second reading and final reading at our meeting of November the 9th? Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion and second. Thank you. Roll call.
Council President.
Excuse me, Councilman Monk.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of questions I have on this ordinance. I think previously, the ordinance we had in terms of the fee structure also had an option for a cruiser, police cruiser as well, for an extra fee. I don't see that in this ordinance as an option.
So not every section of the ordinance was touched,
Okay.
right? This was specifically for the police officers and their hourly rate. And all it really did change is add supervising and commanding officers, which did not exist. So that is strictly the change that was being looked at for this ordinance. Nothing else. If it was there before, it stayed there. We didn't touch it.
Okay. Second point, I forgot to mention on the resolution 39, actually tied a little bit to this ordinance. So 39 was a contract for drainage system improvements at various locations in the city. And there were two bidders. I'm just tying to this ordinance, Council President. $155,000 and then $98,000, which was awarded to John Garcia Construction. And the $98,000, $20,000 of that, which means 20% of the contract, was for allowance for police traffic director. So that's a very large percentage of a contract just to go for, I know that in the state of New Jersey, by state law, you have to have a police officer at any construction on a road, as opposed to, let's say, New York, the construction company could put their own guy there with a flag, right? So obviously this adds a lot of money to every job that we do, anyone, whether it's PSEG, whether it's a telephone company, has a lot of money to, this is 20% of a job, just for that requirement alone, state requirement, you have to have a police officer. What arrangement do we have? This ordinance that we're voting on tonight does address any city-funded project gets a discount instead of the $75 per hour for an officer. It goes down to $55. So question one is resolution 39, does that fall under this reduced rate?
Yes. So that,
So city.
and I have to, it was at the direction of the mayor. We had discussions with the union, and ultimately that was passed at several council meetings ago. So that's been in effect now for several months. And that's why specifically, because these projects, and what happened is a lot of the funded projects, so, you said the state of New Jersey requires this, but for DOT funded projects, we can't use the grant money to pay for the officers. It has to come out of the city,
Really?
which is, I find interesting. So we had to have different options to see how we reduce this. That was one of them, as well as pre-construction meetings with the traffic division so that they can lay out kind of a budget prior to, so that we can, this is an emergency, so it's a little different. Well, no, this one wasn't. This one is for a contract. So that was kind of worked out beforehand so that we knew before we went out to bid kind of what that allowance was. And because of that, it's why that ordinance was presented to you previously.
So in terms of these contracts, there's an allowance for police of $20,000. Does that mean we're paying the contract 20,000, or if he only uses 10,000, we only use 10,000 of it, we only pay 10,000?
Yeah, you only pay what you use. We bill it. We know what we're billing, and then we cross-reference. So usually what happens is, for the construction jobs, that's like a separate bill, so that we know the amount of hours. And on top of that, I mean, there's multiple checks and balances because these jobs are done by Jobs for Blue. So they themselves have their own randomization system and hourly system. So we get the invoice from the vendor, we get the cross-reference from Jobs for Blue and the captain in charge of the off-duty, right? Just their general administrative duties, who lets us know, we reconcile all three to make sure they match.
Okay, I'm not gonna go, I'm just thinking, like, is it cheaper for the city just to give a police officer? And obviously, if we're short on officers, it's, obviously, it wouldn't be recommended, but would it be cheaper for us to keep an officer overtime or something, and just give it to these job sites
So
as
on
opposed to?
emergencies, that's different on emergencies, on prearranged construction jobs. In fact, which is another interesting fact, off-duty officers, right, have to go through the city as part of the process. You can't have your off-duty officers.
One second. Council, this is a challenge with assigning someone. Obviously, we can staff accordingly for shifts. Once you place an officer on one of these jobs, they can't leave the site. So you imagine they're doing traffic, and they need to ensure that the public is safe in terms of the flow of traffic and the work that's being done and keeping people at a distance. So if there's an emergency call, we can't utilize that individual. That's the reason why it's usually off-duty police officers. The amount that's paid is conditioned or contingent upon how long the job will take. If they run into anything that's going to extend the job, they obviously are going to pay more. But again, each job is different. So if you're doing work on Main Ave, it's going to be a lot more involved because of the traffic flow. If you're doing a job on Pine Street, we don't get a lot of traffic, and it may be done a little bit quicker. But in terms of assigning an officer on a job that's a contract, it would create a situation where we would have less officers potentially on duty.
Mayor, if I can add
Yes.
to that, the cost of an overtime officer is almost double what the rate is now. So if we were to decide that we're keeping somebody on, it would cost us significantly higher than the rearranged rate.
So what, maybe instead of putting officers on overtime, we should call it Jobs for Blue.
Once the officer is placed there, and that's how we staff around that, because we can't pull them off for a call. That's why it's usually done by off-duty officers. And sometimes people see the off-duty officer on a construction site. They cannot leave that call to go, let's say, downtown if there was a situation.
There's an emergency in another section of the city, and that officer cannot.
They are not on duty as a police officer. They are working an off-duty job. So they are assigned to that location. They cannot go respond to an alarm, let's say a burglary alarm downtown. That's why we appropriately staff the amount of officers that we need for that shift outside of those that are working these contracts.
So in an emergent situation, that officer cannot answer that call.
In an emergency situation on another area, meaning if an emergency occurred there, obviously they can respond, they can call someone. They cannot leave the site because they may create a situation that would endanger the lives of those around or create a public safety concern in trying to respond to another. So we'd have to determine which one would be priority.
This afternoon, I was driving on Main Avenue for a little while, and there's some construction going on in several areas. I saw sheriff's cars and sheriff officers directing traffic. How does that work?
That's probably because, if it was on Main, it's because it's a county road.
Uh-huh.
So if it's a
So,
county
oh,
job,
yeah.
you'll see a sheriff officer, not a city of Passaic officer.
So a city of Passaic officer could not be there, and a sheriff's officer is the only one who.
They could, a police officer, they could request, let's say it's a utility company, a contractor, they can request through Jobs for Blue, but more times than not on county roads, you'll see sheriff officers doing the jobs.
Okay, and last question that I have, this ordinance deals only with senior officers in terms of additional gratuity that they would receive, correct?
Yes, and it's for events, right? So there's a lot of layers. You know,
Okay,
there's
so-
the
so-
off-duty road jobs, which is kind of more what Councilman Monk was talking about and you were talking about. And then this is more for events, right? So if you have an event with 1,000 people and you need several officers, you have to have commanding officers for each one of those units.
So it's not like we're going to suggest that a lieutenant be stationed directing traffic.
Right.
Right, but rather if there were 5 officers there and they would need a sergeant, or however it works, that would be the purpose.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions on number 40? Is there
We
motion?
already have a motion. and
We
a
have the
second.
motion and the
We just need
seconds.
a
Roll call, please, on 40.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. 41, please. Proposed ordinance by the City Council of the City of Passaic, amending the City of Passaic Code of Ordinances to repeal Chapter 143, to adopt a new Chapter 143, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a flood plan administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date. Is there a motion, please, to accept for second and final reading at our next meeting of November the 9th?
Move.
Motion? Second, thank you. Roll call?
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Payment of bills, please. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, although the council will shortly be going into closed session, after which it will come back into open session. Nonetheless, because going into closed session, many people will not be able to stay. Mayor, can I ask if you had any additional thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I do. Take a brief moment just to address the response that occurred, obviously, with the incidents at the initial of our meeting, when our meeting began. Over the past 11 years, I've seen the council president in my time when I was a council member, in my time when I was in the county as an official and visited here, and over the last going on 7 years as mayor, approach every incident where individuals, whether now utilizing Zoom and advanced technology or in person, targeted any group with the same approach, the same adamant position that this governing body will not tolerate statements of hate, of intolerance, of discrimination. There is obviously the law that provides people the opportunity for free speech. However, I tread carefully here because as mayor, I understand that we speak on behalf of government. The reason why I wanted to share this is because obviously during sensitive times, we are more aware and concerned, but I must point out this governing body has stood up objectively and consistently for every single community. Those community that each individual on this governing body may relate to and those that they may not directly relate to. It has been the same approach. As mayor, I want to thank the council president for his immediate response and the city council for their composure. There are statements, there are images that can be shown, and I understand that individuals may do so to elicit a response, or perhaps to add fuel to the flames of divisiveness. And though I understand that as elected officials, we are to a certain extent expected to allow individuals to say whatever they wish about us. However, considering that there are those in protected classes, there are minors, there are individuals that are watching, we are here to do the business of the city. We're here to do government. And I have seen this body over and over meet their obligations with distinction and honor and true professionalism. But I feel compelled to share this because perhaps someone might get the impression that because a specific image of one group shared or one term of another group was stated over the mic, that's the response. No, it doesn't matter who you're talking about or what you're trying to say. Every single person must adhere to the guidelines and the expectation, the standards, respect, courtesy, and professionalism in the setting of this meeting. People have a right to their opinions and their positions, but this governing body, and I would propose, along with the support of my administration, has every right to say that is not what we're here for. If you want to talk about roads, talk about an approach, you want to discuss some kind of service that should be added, or you want to share that you're not happy with any of us, individually or collectively, I've seen this body stand there and receive every single criticism, some constructive, some a little more creative, more peppered. But we as a community stand united together. If one section or one part of our city is hurt, offended, or targeted, then we all have been injured. Offense is not individual. As a whole, our city takes offense to anyone who would believe that they would target any group or take any opportunity to defame or in any way, whether through inflammatory remarks or images. If you in any way come after any group in our city, our response will be swift and immediate and appropriate. I wanted to share that because I want to make sure everybody knows that this governing body, since I have been in office, has always been consistent in their defense and their willingness to stand up for all, every group, of every distinction, of every identification. So again, Council President, thank you. Members of the City Council, thank you for always being consistent, professional, and cognizant, considering all of our communities, because our diversity is our strength. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any comments from members of the council? Seeing none, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, thank you so much for coming with us tonight, for being with us tonight. At this time, the council will be going into closed executive session, and we ask that everyone except for the mayor and his administration, the city clerk, and the council remain in chambers. If we could ask everyone else to please vacate chambers.
Council President, I need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution to go into closed session.
Is there a motion, please, to adopt resolution number 17, authorizing a closed executive session
So moved.
for purposes of litigation?
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. I need everyone vacated, please.